I hadn't asked forgiveness for the evil I'd done. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I ask God and Jesus sometimes, I say, thank you. I said, He wouldn't have forgiven me. I would have done it that night. Think of that. If you're Christian, where would I be now?
Yeah.
Up there or down there. That's pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think that that's how much God kept seeking me out, because He knew that I would seek His forgiveness one day. He knew how strong my faith would become.
Mm-hmm.
He knows till when we die. So He knew that, but I didn't. And so now I look back, and it happens about, like, during the holidays. I'm like, oh God, I couldn't kill myself. Mother's Day, oh my God, I can't believe I could kill myself. Oh my God, I can't believe I was that close. How can that not affect you? But then when you come to the Lord, you're like, it reinforces how much He loved me. How's that?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you didn't give up on me. And I'm glad I didn't do that. Because suicide hurts the ones left behind also.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know. That's the only time I ever thought of anything. How more dark can you be to yourself? Besides my abortions. But I mean, think about that. How more dark.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And coming back from that, do you think that was a part, maybe a little bit of what got you back into the faith a little bit?
Well,
Did that affect?
it took years before I recognized or put it together. I knew that always scared me. I knew I would never do that ever, and never have. I had suicidal. I don't even know if that was really a suicidal ideation. I think that was like near suicide.
Yeah, it sounded like.
You know, that was like that. I mean, could you imagine if somebody would have just kicked my door open, say the rapist at that time, and I had that? You know.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been a suicide, but people would have thought it would have been. But it's something that spooked me so badly at that time, in that position, at that moment, that one, you know, like 2-3 minute thing.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been, wow. I mean, it wasn't like that, but that still does get to me.
To this
And
day,
I do think that part of that played with, after the rape, I think there is this big connection with these anti-psychotropic drugs. I just talked to the young man and the girl about it. He brought it up about that shooting yesterday, if I heard anything. Okay, the whole thing is that these drugs are black labeled to young people for a reason.
Yeah.
They do alter the brain. Now, at one time, think of this, Halcyon, Haldol, amitriptyline, which is Elavil, Zoloft, Paxil. Now you look those up and you tell me if that's a wonderful combination to commit suicide. Because they're all black labeled drugs.
Yeah.
And then I guess in the 90s that was it. Here, if you're sick, well, take a pill.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the drugs that can make you either homicidal or suicidal. Why would you put somebody who's just been raped with PTSD, just diagnosed, on those kind of drugs? Or anybody dealing with it? Awful.
Yeah.
There are
Something
many
awful.
natural realms that you could do, like exercise, acupuncture, acupressure, you know, high doses of vitamin D or B's. I mean, we're all on the wrong track. It's pharmaceuticals, big money pockets, what it is. And this is what I do believe. There'll be a connection. If this individual yesterday will have been on them drugs, you watch. And if you go back all the way to Columbine, almost every mass shooting, it's not about the gun. It is about the person who does pull the trigger. But what chemicals are they on? And if you go back, you'll find out. Almost every shooting since Columbine has been with these type of drugs. And that's a very alarming thing. But then who's going to take on Big Pharma?
All right.
We just finally got the thing going about them consenting to put a lot of this OxyContin morphine addiction thing that they keep writing the scripts on. You know? At least eventually can lead eventually to heroin addiction. What happens there? Another young death.
All right.
I know it. Did that last one shocked you, didn't it?
A little bit, yeah, because, well, I'd get to
It
that
does
later,
make me
whatever.
very sad because I think about that. I'd say at least once a month. Definitely during the holidays.
We have only 2 questions left, and one of them's super easy. The other one,
But you got rid of the hardest one, I think.
yeah. This isn't hard, I don't think.
I mean, the toughest one was the suicide.
Oh, yeah.
What was that question again?
Just the suicide one, I just wondered if there was ever a time you contemplated.
Like something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely
Can you describe,
sad still.
and I did just a tiny bit of, because I knew you had a public presence, did some background research, and I know that there was a time where police came to your house or something and did arrest you or something. There was something weird going on there, and I want to see
In the projects,
what
There
your
was 2000
side of the story of whatever
yeah,
that was.
2014. So it was in November. 2014, 2013. It was in November
Yeah.
in the projects where I'm living in Lewisburg, Kansas. So there's about, I think, 18 other residents. And I'm not quite right for my fate. Because when you're with poor people and they look at you,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but when you know that you've done more in your life,
Mm-hmm.
many good things too that I've done, and you aren't a dummy,
Right.
this is before I was coming here to school, but you're proud of your Lord,
Mm-hmm.
and you brag about, I just love my Jesus. Yeah. Hi, I'm Marianne. I left the Lord 33 years. I come back to him. Well, she's a real winner.
Right.
When you stand up for the Lord, you will be many times criticized.
Do you ever understand the criticism? I don't know.
Yes, I understand that they aren't with the Lord, because if they were, or they don't have faith, then they would say, "Oh wow, we got."
Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. Maybe they are. Maybe they don't express it the same way.
Well, no, they just say, "Don't say God bless me." One would get very angry because I'd say, "Okay, bye, so and so," to this guy.
Yeah.
I'd say, "God bless you," and I didn't realize he was getting angry over it. And then he went to the office and reported me about it. Well, last I knew in America, we still had freedom of speech.
Right.
And he finally confronted me and said, "Quit saying that." And I'm like, "Saying what? So and so?" I thought it was a joke. It was not a joke. So it was day one by 2 people there that they didn't like me. One was that guy, and the other was one a week later, and she was my next door neighbor, but she was about, I think, 8 years older than me, and her ex-husband, who lived there also in a different apartment, was a fired chief of police in this town. So they had been there,
Yeah.
and they considered me an outsider because I grew up in the city.
Mhm.
Because poor people in, I call them projects, government housing, do feel like that in a small town. You didn't grow up here. Well, that's what Lewisburg is. You didn't grow up here in the projects. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about town, because there are a lot of people there that respect me and vice versa.
Mhm.
So she had called the police because she hated me so bad. And her best friend was the manager of the project.
Oh, really?
And her ex-husband lived a few doors down from her, like 4 from me. And when evil sets with evil,
It only begets more evil.
so I had, before presidential elections, listening to a famous conservative talk show host named Michael Savage, who gets like this, and then all of us like gets like this, and then he goes back down like this.
Okay.
You know? Inflection,
Yeah.
tone, diction. She called the police on me. The police came out, but the first time I didn't know because the peephole's broken. Well, see, anybody that knows me knows when you couldn't visit me, you best call,
Mhm.
or you best email me. You let me know, hey, I'm on the way.
Yeah.
Or I'll see you Friday night, you know, house 7. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, okay. So, my friend, she lived the next building up. I kept hearing this banging at the door, but the peephole broken. Well, I'm not going to open my door, number one. Number two, I'm not going to look out. So I called Sharon, said, Sharon, somebody's banging on the door, banging on the door. I said, I don't hear anymore, can you look out? And she said, looks like the police just drove off. I'm like, well, what the heck's going on? She said, I don't know. She says, well, I'll come down. Okay. She comes down, and you know, it was just like a year and a half since the double mastectomy. I was still kind of sick with just being diagnosed with diabetes.
Mhm.
And that was my kind of battle at the time because I get really tired.
Yeah.
I was putting up the tree. Then I came back on the door. It was police, 2 officers, Officer Lindsay and Officer Stevens. Stevens happened then not to be an American citizen. But I kind of wonder, well, I didn't know it at the time until I sued. I'm sure you know I sued.
Yeah.
So the whole point was that being that I regret my sign that I showed you, I
Mhm.
sent to you.
Yeah.
I regret my abortion sign. When I go to Planned Parenthood, we sidewalk counselors hold that. I'm the only one up there that does that.
Mhm.
But we always should have our Constitution Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm there in silent prayer. I'm there for people to see the sign. If you
Mhm.
want to come talk to me, and I've helped post a board of women that walked out of there, and women going in and save their babies. So I take that as a very serious aspect of a spiritual job. When an officer, we take our Bill of Rights Constitution, Congressman gave us. When an officer comes and demands that I have to let them in my home without a search warrant,
Mhm.
and if I don't, then I am going to suffer the consequences and get tickets. I have a problem with that because that now has crossed the line into my home, violating.
So they didn't have a warrant and they were trying to get in?
Yes, and in fact, they did give me the 2 tickets, one disorderly conduct, and I didn't get them right off. Sharon was in the apartment.
Mhm.
They didn't know that. Number 2, they know. I said, I don't have to let you in. Number 3 is they know with their hands on their sidearms. You get pistol.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
done.
yeah.
If you don't let us in, we're going to give you tickets. I don't know. I was just like.
Didn't you like pull out the pocket constitution?
Yes, I did.
And they said it was just a piece of paper?
Laughingly.
But
Officer Stevens said that.
weird.
And I still have those books, and they're about this big. The ones that the congressmen give you, you know.
Right.
And one's Constitution, one's
Did
Bill of
they
Rights.
arrest you?
No, no.
They just
They were at my house. They helped my friend, and almost an hour in my bedroom, or half hour in my bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
I had a companion dog for emotional.
Real quick, what was so loud?
Well, we didn't know until they walked out, after they threatened me to go to jail. And I said, well, actually, it was Officer Lindsay who said it. Now, mind you, they deny owning a body camera. This is true. They didn't own a body camera. Did they have a body camera? Of course they did. They found out that I am their match. They found out that I don't give up. They found out that God, my God, is bigger than them. They found out that, yeah, I was going to go to jail. They found out I was peaceful. They told me to move back to where I come from. Nobody liked me. Where did the body camera come from? You can get this as Freedom of Information Act. Because the federal court, Judge Julie Robinson ordered, I filed for exfoliation, meaning they can't throw out the evidence. You as a journalist could go get that.
Yeah.
Body camera tape. It was, when they say we didn't own one, you fight back and say, but wait a minute. She said you did, and it was a loan from the body camera shop that was trying to sell it to you after the Ferguson murder. A body camera shop went to Lewisburg and said, here, we would like you to try this one camera out. And it was verified by Officer Sanders, David Sanders. And he confirms, yes, that's the fact, and he's the one who ordered it, and yes, it's the fact it was downloaded. Although he said they did not have room to store it. Now, how's that? When I picked up a little SIM card, this is when I was requesting it 2 years, I asked for an investigation.
Yeah.
I picked up the SIM card and said, oh, you mean like this? Something like that to store it? You mean the police department doesn't like that? So they, Officer Lindsay, it was an awful thing. I knocked on the bedroom door, and he kept telling Sharon, you will say she said this. Now, mind you, body camera was on. Sharon was in there petrified. I'm sitting there like, I gotta help my friend, and my dog's going crazy. They had me so scared I couldn't pick up my little Jack Russell. Sharon had to take him into my kennel. Then it was like Officer Lindsay was trying to do anything to get that dog to bite him, my dog. And what ended up happening, they had Sharon in my bedroom for over a half hour saying, you will say this, you will say that. She said this, she did this. And Sharon kept saying, I'm not saying that. I'm not lying. I am not lying. So I went and knocked on the door, which was cracked, because I had one of those little hangers that hangs your belts and scarves on it.
Yeah.
I said, I think you've been in here long enough. This is my apartment. Knowing that they didn't have the right. But see, once you let them in like that, you don't have to let them in. I was stupid to let them in to begin with, but that's what I originally sued for, was under the Fourth. The Fourth, the First, my civil rights, and abuse of power under the color of law. I wasn't an attorney. I didn't know how to do a computer. I asked for the questions for 2 years. I would not give up to Chief of Police. They can't deny it, because when you walk in there, you have the cameras like you do here. No, she's never come talk to us. Well, I'm not the damn liar. And my God knows it. So, they told me you might as well move back to where you come from. Where's that? I'll remember this verbatim forever. Cleveland. I said, Cleveland where? Cleveland, Missouri. I said, why? This is verbatim. He says, Officer Lindsay, because nobody likes you here, unquote. But you can only imagine that that Michael case in Ferguson had just happened. And you could only imagine that. Of course, I was scared. I said, nobody likes you here. Who said that? He said, Teresa. I said, Teresa who? He said the manager.
The one who
Well-
was best friends with the person who doesn't like you.
And then God ended up taking her life. She had a heart attack after I made this a big deal.
Ooh.
Pushed to get me to 2 bed. It's very sad.
That's very sad. Do you think that's
She
for...
was like 40s.
w-
And I felt like, are you serious? Lord. I mean, because she was backing up evil. She was in cahoots with the police department. I have the letters at home. I might get evicted over this
To this day?
to this day, because last month, since I met you, even before then, I wanted to know why these papers against HUD violations,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot have a landlord, a manager, calling your past landlords. You can ask for, did you pay your rent on time? There's like 5 or 6 basic questions.
Yeah.
Did they leave it in good condition? You can't call them and say, how do you judge, oh, hey, I'm getting back with you. We got Marianne in here. We don't really like her. It doesn't matter whether you like me or not.
Yeah.
You don't like me because of my Mexican. That was part of it. Because that was the big thing I'd always say. I'm
Really?
Mexican, and
Okay.
of course they don't like that. But it was definitely about my faith. And so when you have poor-minded people that you're happy and go lucky, you've already been healed in here. You see
Yeah.
things different in life. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And I'm out to save souls. You know?
Mhm.
And that's what I live for. I think you see that with me up here. I try the best I can. So when this lawsuit, well, it hadn't happened yet. But when they said, I got into, the new manager came and she says, you won't believe all this shit
Mm-hmm.
that's written about you. I'm like, what? But she did provide me. I still have it.
Including that nobody likes you here? Or,
I have where
around.
the landlady that died, Teresa, says, I know it's against HUD and the federal law. Now, she worked for the company here.
it's all kind of corruption a little bit there.
And it all went from her to the police and from the neighbor that hated me that was friends of hers. And they did not want me there. Because if Teresa said so, and the police agreed, then you had your governmental HUD housing. Well, this is USDA Rural Development Housing.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking some big money here.
Yeah.
They have 50-year loans. You should see the emails that I've written up there to USDA Rural Development, Topeka, to the owner of this Mid-America. I want to know why do you have in my personal file religious discrimination? Why do you have a letter, 2 pages, every bit of this, from here to here, single, no lines, from the old manager that I know it's against the law and I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm going to call Mary Ann's past landlords and find out about who she really is. Like, there's just something about her that, I know I can't be asking these questions. It's against HUD regulations, but yet she did.
What did they think
Like,
about?
what do you think of Mary Ann? And, can you give me some trash on her? I mean, that's about what fake news is with journalists. But,
Yeah.
it's against the law when your manager, your landlord,
Mm-hmm.
that is against federal law. You can't do that.
What was, just,
I mean, they put
Yeah.
me down with the mental diagnosis from an exterminator. An exterminator contracted through this place where I live,
yeah.
wrote a mental diagnosis of me, and it was put in my file, and I have a copy of it at home.
Saying what?
That I have delusional parasitosis. Only because there was some kind of critter that was eating my furniture up, and I lost a piano and all my furniture about 2 years ago.
Huh.
And that was documented.
Did you find the critter?
Well, I kept saying the ceiling was going to fall in because it was sagging. And they kept ignoring me and didn't do anything. And unfortunately, it did fall in. 4 apartments down with a special needs grown like 30-year-old. And it was just very lucky that he wasn't in his kitchen that day.
Wow.
And it's all covered up. It's all covered up. Joey was his name. So, eventually, the former manager, I even found a paper the other day, I forgot about this, had wrote something like, I expect Marianne, I'm suspecting she has scabies. I expect Marianne to go to the doctor and get a scabies report. That is in my file. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Guess what? You don't believe me, I have all the papers and show you. So, I've been pushing for what's called a mediation meeting. I've been turned down from the owners talked me twice out of it. Now that the owner had a heart attack, now that the owner is found to have cancer, woe is the owner. But see, when it was me, as the renter with rights, it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But now I'm supposed to have empathy for the owner. Of course I do. By same token, he has a deadline, or his representative, to answer these questions and set up the mediation meeting. So what they've done, because I wanted answers, what they've done is now threaten me with eviction, which they cannot do. And it's because they made a HUD filing.
So
and I
what is
said,
a
but
HUD?
I can prove about this lawsuit. I told them, I said, you know, my lawsuit would not be in front of the U.S. Supreme Court steps. I said, I didn't do this. Let me say one thing. I'll show you how right I was about that. When the police told me that night that I was going to jail, that I had to move because nobody liked me here. Why? Who said that? Teresa. Teresa who? The manager. You know, when all that was said, and I knew that those were bogus lies, I was like, oh my God. Now, unfortunately, that night my blood sugar was really out of whack. I was putting up the Christmas tree, and I was having some of these enemies over for Thanksgiving dinner 2 days later.
Really?
Yes. So that's the ironic thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I have this t-shirt on that is really messy. My hair wasn't done. I had no makeup on. And then I was like, I'm going to jail. Are you serious? I said, can I pray? And Officer Lindsay said, yes. Officer Stevens at that time was not an American citizen, but he was studying to become an American citizen. So, don't you have to study the Constitution before you are sworn in to be a citizen?
Yeah.
Yes, because you have to take what? Constitutional test, right?
Yeah.
So, Stevens was next door, the one from England that works at the police department. And Lindsay says, well, you might as well get ready to go to jail. And I thought, this is not a joke. This is like really serious. I've already been told the Constitution is just a piece of paper.
They said that you could pray though, right? So you...
But this was the whole key.
Yeah.
Where he violated the Constitution was this. When Officer Stevens walked in, because I looked like a Muslim, I had my hands like this to the ground, and my head was touching the ground. And I was praying to God, silent, saying, I don't want to go to jail. I'll never forget this. God, I don't want to go to jail. You know, I'm having this dinner. Some of these are for my enemies. But, if it is your will, I will go. He must be laughing at me. Because I said, but, another but. I mean, we do that with God, right? Or Jesus, or higher power. We barter. But, like a little kid I was.
Right,
Because
right.
I am his little kid. If I have to go to jail, I know you can break the chains off because you did that for Peter and Paul.
All right.
So
Okay.
I didn't go to jail.
Okay.
Stevens comes in and starts hollering. What is she doing?